Hi, I'm Cathy Bente.
Hi, Kathy. Today I wanted to talk to you about some of your pieces that you've drawn. Could you show them to us?
Yes, I have one, which is the Hardman House, which is a local point of interest, the historic Hardman Farm across from the Indian Mound, for anybody who lives here who doesn't know that, which is nobody. But anyway, this was one of the first pieces that I did, and it came to be really because my husband and I attended one of the SNED talks at SNCA, and John Erbley, who worked for the Department of Natural Resources, was the man who led the talk about the historic Hardman Farm. And then he led a tour, and this was before the whole site was open for tours. They were still trying to get it off the ground. So I loved this house. I loved the whole tour, and I took a picture and thought I would love to paint that. And so this was my translation of the Hardman House.
Do you get a lot of inspiration from just buildings that you see and different sites in nature?
Definitely, definitely. There is so much beauty surrounding us here in the Northeast Georgia mountains. I moved here from South Florida, from Broward County, Fort Lauderdale area. And it was beautiful in its own right, but it was so different and so heavily populated. And when we retired up here, just the openness in the fields and the greens and the trees and the buildings, the barns, the animals, you know, just the countryside. So yes, I get a lot of inspiration from driving around, seeing flowers in bloom when you're taking a walk, seeing the horses as you're walking past the pasture, that kind of thing.
Do you have any work that has flowers in it?
I do. I'm glad you asked, because this particular one I call Tabletop Fireworks. I don't know if I'm putting it in front of my face and that's not good, but this particular one is very loose, and we had talked previously about the watercolor class I'm taking at SNCA with Becky Peebles. And one of the lessons, or the artists that she introduced to us, was named Charles Reed, and he had a very loose and quick and bright style. And this is very different from my architectural style over here. This was a class project to begin with, and I just took it and made it a finished project instead of just, okay, what we learned that day in class I made into something that I love. And this one is hanging now at SNCA. This is a giclée print of a bigger one of this. But this is one example of flowers. I have many more, but that would be very boring. So I'll just go back here with that one.
In our previous interview, you talked about how watercolor for you is very relaxing and a good way to kind of just calm down and really be with nature, be with your thoughts. Do you think this is a good activity that parents and kids could do at home?
I endorse it fully, yes. I'll tell you another thing that I did that maybe kids would like. I have a 3-ring, notebook, and it's watercolor paper. And so I can do a quick sketch, and then I can do some painting on it, and then make notes. And it's something that I have to look back at. And if a school-age person, school-age child or adult person would like to explore their inner talent, that's a good way. You wouldn't have to have pads of paper and all of this. You could start out with, they have small kits, small beginner watercolor sets, a pencil, your imagination, a favorite quote, a poem, a song, that you want to just take part of the lyrics and do a, you know, sketch or an illustration of. Hey, kids do writing all the time. They could illustrate what it is that they're writing about. Make it more interesting.
Yeah, that sounds like a great idea. I think maybe we should see if the kids and adults out there would maybe want to do watercolor similar to yours, or maybe just gather inspiration from it. What do you think?
I think it's a great idea. Watercolor is a lot of fun.
Would you mind showing us the flowers again?
Okay.
So now this and then the watercolor of the Hardman House are two very good examples of how you can use nature and architecture that you see every day to create something beautiful. And it's definitely something that people should give a try, don't you think?
I absolutely do. It has brought me so much pleasure, really. And the fun that we have in our class is amazing. If you're ever there at the center on a Thursday afternoon and you hear a lot of laughter and a lot of chatter coming from the far end down by the ladies' bathroom, that's who's there. We are. And sometimes people will come by and they'll look in and they just come in and take a walk around to see what's going on. And it's great. And it can be people who are touring visitors, not people who live here. But, you know, there are all kinds of activities at SNCA. And I really think that it's a wonderful place for every kind of creativity.
Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.